Hello GameMakers, this is GameMaker Rob, and in this episode we'll be covering item stacks, stacking them automatically, picking up and dropping with the mouse, and displaying the inventory via text. So let's get started. Okay, so there are a few changes that I've made since the previous episode. Inside the create event of OBJ player, inside the enumerator for item stats, we have a new entry called max stack. This is going to track how many of an item can be stacked together. Obviously you can have it from 1 to as high as you want. You might want to have things like weapons and armor being stackable as 1, and things like potions as being stackable to 99, that kind of thing. There's a new enumerator for the inventory. It's going to change from a 1-dimensional to a 2-dimensional array, and the first entry is going to be the type as it was before, and the second entry is going to be the quantity, which is going to be related to the max stack. I've also changed the arrays from local to global, just so we don't have to keep typing obj_underscore player. It's a bad form to do that, really. I've also added an entry for every. Basically, I've set the max stack of all the different potions. Red potion you can only stack 1 at a time, and brown potion you can stack 99 at a time. Last of all, I have also added the second entry to the inventory array, and I've set the quantity of the array for all the entries to 0. So we're going to start with no potions and no quantity of no potions. I also went through the rest of the code and changed every iteration of A items and A inv to global, and that is where we're up to at the moment. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a quantity to all of our OBJ items, the ones that we have already in the room, like this. So to give them a quantity, we're going to say quantity equals irandom. Actually, let's say max quantity equals global.a items image index, and then we want e items or item stats dot max stack -1, and then we want to say quantity equals irandom max stack, or max quantity, sorry, +1. This is because you want a number from 1 to the max, and irandom is going to give us a number from 0 to the variable we put in there. So the way to get around this is have a -1 here and a +1 there. Okie doke. So every item in our room is now going to have a random quantity. Let's also display this. Do I have any fonts? No. Just going to quickly make a font. Okay, so obj item, draw event. Need to type draw self, otherwise it's not going to draw itself. Then draw set font, FNT small, draw set H align, FA right, draw set V align, FA bottom, draw set color, C white, and then we want to say draw text, X plus sprite width, Y plus sprite width, and then you want to have an X and then plus quantity. So now if we run the game, we're going to get an error. No, not unless we try and pick something up. Okay, cool. So the red potions, they're all at ×1 because that's the maximum they can go to. And if we see some brown potions on the right hand side, this area, you can see that, you know, there's one has 52, there's 64, 67. So the first part of our code is working fine. Now we want to do the same thing in our GUI, Draw GUI event for the player. So where we're saying if item is greater than -1, so if there's an item in that particular slot, we want to say, actually let's make this into something more staggered. So we want to draw the sprite and then we want to say if, well actually let's get the quantity. Quantity equals global.a inv, and then we want inv e inventory dot quantity, and I need to change this into a 2D as well, and we want e inventory dot type. There we go. So we've got the item, we've got the quantity. We can change this to a var as well. So if item is greater than 1, draw the item. If quantity is greater than 1, because I don't want to draw it if there's just one of them, then draw set hline fa right, draw set vline fa bottom, draw set font fnt large, draw set color c white. Why we're getting an error? We're not okay. And then draw text, because these sprites are centered, it's going to be a bit different. We want item x plus sprite get width spr items all divided by 2, item y plus sprite get height divided by 2, and then x plus string quantity. Okay, we're not going to test this just now. There's no, there's no reason why that shouldn't work. We're just going to get on and start coding the scripts now. Okie doke, so inside scr pickup, we're going to make some changes. We're going to say quant equals item instance dot quantity. Make it a variable as well, local variable. So at the moment, all we've got is we're checking for an empty space in the array. What we want to do first though is we want to check if there is an item of the same type and then add the quantity from the pickup item to that one. So we are going to need another for loop for this. Let's put some notes. Check for a similar item to add quantity to. Alright, so now we want to say if global.a inv and then e inventory dot type, is equal to item. So basically, if they are the same number, then add quantity to inventory item. So we're going to need two more variables. Max quantity equals global.a items, and then item e item stats dot max stack, and then var current quantity equals global.a inv and then we're going to say if current quantity plus quant is less than or equal to max quantity, global.ainv inventory inventory dot quantity plus equal to quant, and then let's just move this to here. Quantity quant equals 0, and then destroy item object with item instance destroy. So if there's space to pick up all of the item, then that's what this is for. Else not enough space to pick all of it up. So then I'm going to say global.ainv inventory dot quantity equals max quantity, and quant equals max quantity minus current quantity. That should be it for that one. So we don't need to delete the object or anything, because we may have other entries in the inventory array that are the same as the item we're going to pick up, and we still want to add the rest of the quantity to them as well. So we're going to let it run for the entirety of the for loop. Okay. Then, if quant is greater than 0, so if we've gone through the whole array and there isn't any items of the same type that can fit that quantity in there, then we're going to try and find an empty space. So if there's an empty space, add the item, then we need to add the quantity. Global.a inv e inventory dot quantity equals quant set quantity to 0 and destroy the item. So if there's a spare slot, stick it all in. And after we've checked the whole array, we may have the occasion where we don't have any place for it. So then we just need to make sure that we have reduced the quantity of the item we're picking up by what's left, or set it to that. So make sure we haven't destroyed it. And that should do it. So if we now run the game, we should be able to pick up and stack automatically. So we can see there's only one of each red potion. And why did it delete it? Hopefully you guys noticed when you were typing it, but I had a small typing mistake. Instead of A-inv, I had A-ints or something, which basically was creating a completely different array, which is why it wasn't working when I tested it. So just change it to A-inv and the code should run normally. I just added a few bug fixing things as well. I've got a message which shows quant before we change it and afterwards, and the actual readout for it comes here. It's a good way to test and bug fix your games in the future. Let's just run the game so I can show you how it works. So pick up 2 red potions and they don't stack because max stack is 1. Let's get some blue ones. 7 plus 4. So the max stack for blue is 10. So 7's become 10 and the remaining one has been stacked into there. Let's get some brown potions. So that should give us 98. Yeah. Let's get some more blue ones. No, actually let's get some brown ones. So 98 brown plus 84. So it's 99 and 83 the remainder. Let's get some more. 83. So there was 32. 83 and 32. We'll take 16 from it. And there's now 16 remaining. So it seems to be working perfectly. Alright, so now that's working, we are going to go to our drop script. This one should be pretty simple. What I need to do is change this to a 2D array. E inventory dot type equals -1. Quantity becomes 0. New item dot quantity equals global dot ainv j player dot selected item There we go. And that's it. If we just run the game. So pick up 8 blue potions. If you drop it, there are 8 blue potions. Awesome. There's 10 and 3. Let's drop all of them. There we go. Cool. Okay, so the next thing we're going to cover is using the mouse to pick up and drop items. I went ahead and I made some code already in our OBJ player in the GUI event, the Draw GUI event, where we're showing the inventory inside our for loop. We've got this bit of code here, get the mouse coordinates and change selected item. There's not a lot to it. We're getting the mouse X and mouse Y using these two functions. These two functions are really useful. It still returns the relevant X and Y mouse value, even if you change from windowed to full screen, or even if you stretch out the game window itself. I'll show you that in practice in a minute, but it's really useful for this kind of stuff. Half width is half the width of the sprite for the inventory boxes, and half height is half of the height. this bit of code here, what we're doing is we want to check to see if the mouse coordinates are over one of our inventory squares. That's why we're doing it inside the for loop. It's going to check this. It's going to check these coordinates 6 times, and if any of them return true, then we're going to set the selected item to inv, which is going to go from 0 to 5. ABS just returns the absolute value of whatever variables you put inside it. So if it's a positive, it stays positive. If it's negative, it becomes a positive. That's also another useful function. It saves you having to type out lots of different things. And all we're saying really is if the mouse X and mouse Y is within the radius of half the width of the sprite and half the height of the sprite, then we're going to change selected item to that particular slot. If you run the game, I'll show you how this works in practice now. So moving the mouse around selects different slots randomly. If we press left and right, it's not really going to work properly because it's going to keep changing it to the one the mouse is over. So it's up to you whether you keep in, manual keyboard controls as well as the mouse. But if I were you, I would just pick one and stick with that. If we switch to full screen, it still works properly. And if we just stretch it around, it's still going to work. And that's all down to these 2 functions here. The next thing we're going to cover is picking up with the mouse. I've just got a small sprite for the mouse. It's just a 8x8 circle centered in the middle. We're going to create an object, call it obj mouse, and give it that sprite. And all we need to do for this is in the step event, we're going to say x equals mouse x and y equals mouse y. This is going to return the actual room value. So wherever we are in the room, that's going to give us the coordinates of the mouse. Because we're interacting with objects within the room itself, not the GUI. That's why we're using these coordinates this time. That's all we need for that. If we now go into obj item, we're just going to borrow this bit of code from here and just put it up here for now. Under here, we're going to say pick up with mouse. So if collision rectangle x1, y1, x2, y2, obj mouse false, false. And then check for mouse click. So if the item's colliding with the mouse and if mouse check button pressed, mouse button left, then script pickup. We're going to give it the image index of this item and we're going to send it the ID of this item, and that should do it. Oh, don't forget to put the mouse item in the world, otherwise it's not going to work. So let's open the inventory and you can see whenever we click on something, we're picking it up using exactly the same script. So now we can pick up, we're going to actually drop them as well. So inside the obj player, the Draw GUI event, where we are checking for the mouse, so this bit, mouse is colliding with an inventory slot, check for mouse. Say if mouse check button pressed, MB left, then SCR drop, and I'm just going to give it the item, which we need to define as well. item equals global.a inv selected item e-inventory dot type. So let's run the game. So let's pick up some items first and then drop them. Let's pick up some more. And there we go. Excellent. And the last thing we're going to do today is to draw everything via text. We're going to do this in the Draw GUI event of OBJ Player. So open that now. And we're going to need to move these two lines of code up to here, just so we can get them earlier. And as soon as we declare variables, we're going to make a new region, draw text version. And we're going to say if item is greater than -1, item name equals global.a items item e item stats.name. Else var item name equals empty. Then we're going to say draw set h line fa left, draw set v line fa top, draw set font fnt large, draw set color see white. Let's just get quantity as well. We've got that. Okay, so if quantity is greater than 1, draw text, draw X, draw Y, item name plus string quantity, like that. Else so if there's more than 1, draw the whole thing, otherwise just draw the name of the item. And if we just need to declare draw X and draw Y, draw X equals 0, draw Y equals inv times 20. I know the font size is 18, so I just picked 20 to give a bit of a space between the letters, the words. And if we run the game, there we go. We've got the inventory drawn in the top left. It's not very pretty right now, but there's plenty of things you can do to, you know, you can have a background, you can make the fonts nicer, all kinds of stuff. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the second inventory tutorial. As I said in the notes, this is a precursor to a shop, like an item shop tutorial. That'll be coming within probably the next week or so. Any questions or comments, I would love to hear them in the section below. I will catch you later. Bye for now.